cushion. Put the top on. Let's undo the screws. Move that up here a bit. I'm going to flip that way to remove the front screws. Just see if this will gently lift up. Check the cables, and there we go. That opens up, all good. So we'll need another cushion there, so it's the right height. Lovely cushion. Get the meter prepared. Get the voltage. Right, so we'll need to also plug in this. Make sure it's switched off. It is. Now it's booting, and there we are. That's ready. So now taking the black common, and we'll start at the bottom. So with the yellow, we're on 12.41 volts. On the blue, 13.62 volts, but it's minus, so that's minus 13.62. I'll just check the first one again, and that is positive 12.4 volts. Next one is negative 13.6. The red is positive 4.96. Next red should be the same, I suppose. 4.96 positive. Orange is 3.3 positive. Orange again, so therefore 3.3 positive. Purple is 9.3 volts positive. Last one, green, that's millivolts, so that's not actually reading a voltage. Very good. Right, let's switch off, disconnect the power, switch it back on again, just to see if we can help dissipate any of the power. Oh, that's a bit of, what's that? That's something, a piece of paper stuck on the frame. All good. Now we're going to look at doing the switches, etc., and cleaning this case. So let's disconnect it from the bottom board, take off the ribbon carefully, and take off this other ribbon carefully. So that one's to the where the encoder sits, etc., and this one is to the volume and front panel headphones, etc. So we'll remove that, keep that safe over here. Next thing to do before we start removing boards is to remove all the knobs, etc. So we'll put all the knobs, etc. in there. Let's lift them off. They're all the same, they all mount the same. Also we can see the interesting colour difference, because underneath the knobs has been protected from all the detritus. So I thought I'd just bring it down a little bit closer so we're closer to the action. Let's see if this will undo. So that is actually loose already without me undoing it. Change tool. Okay, that feels quite tight, as though it's been cross-threaded. Yeah, so we can see it's a couple of threads up at that side. quite straight. There we go, that's done. Great. Yep. And let's release the headphone socket. Should be easy because it's plastic and it's a full thread all the way around rather than having the two flats. Nice and gentle, yep. So that's all the things I think of the front we need to do. We'll look at servicing both the switches, the connections there, and the potentiometer. Next thing for us to do is to disconnect all these cables. Got this here, which is for the touch strip. Need to pull that off, and we're going to take this first board out. So checking when we take them out, these have like star washers on, you can see that. That saves it from rattling loose. Also makes a good connection to ground. Both these plastic covers will come off and they're very easily damaged, so we'll be cautious about those, the ones under the switches. And each of these 16 encoders, there's some stiff and some loose, so we'll just make sure we service them all. Then you've got all these little plastic LED lenses which take the light off the board, where the LEDs are like surface mounted. Yeah, so on the board there, you can see all these tiny little LEDs, and those plastic lenses sit on top like that, and they actually light up. He says dropping it to the table, which is handy. Yeah, I think we will actually remove here both the ribbon connector and the power connector for the display, and then remove that. And those screws from the display are actually quite a lot longer, so it's ensuring that you get the right screws in the right place is good. So onto the bottom pads. Gently push up from the bottom. And the final board. So then this is the top board, which will need the work on it. All these got to be careful of because they break easily, as I said previously. And the item we'll be looking at focusing on, or I will be anyway, not necessarily you, is the potentiometer here, which is currently loose and would normally have, where you can see the ring there that's around that post, it'd be soldered onto there. And if you look at the condition, if you can see that, not sure if you can get that completely. There seems to have been a lot of heating around there, which I assume is for the soldering it on, and these connections here. So the solder looks different to these ones. So they're like balled up, which I assume means that the repair was done either without flux or with dirty solder or similar. Remove the little plastic lenses again from this side so we don't lose them. This is the lens now. I want to clean this top off. take off the strip and we'll see how we go. Just show you where I'm up to so far. So this is a couple of minutes later. You can see there's the kind of colour it was and the kind of colour it is, and I'd left that strip on there just because you can see the 2 minutes, that the 20 years of dirt just goes. Even on the touch strip there you can see the difference on the surface. So I think it's worth spending that bit of time just to give it a quick clean, because it looks like new. Even the screen there is super clear. Really pleased, brilliant. Just got a bit more work to do there. Get some more of the dirt off and we're done, nice and clean. There we go. Much better. Almost like new. Lovely. Let's move on. Okay, so now we're just taking these pads off the back plate. And all these to do, just gently draw them through, and the lumpy bit on the top is for when you put them back in again, because if you try and force them in, they squash, whereas if you put that in and pull through, it squeezes gently and comes out. And on the board here, just for interest, if you're interested, so you've got each of these contact areas, those 4. You've got a send and receive optic in the middle. On the back of the pads, you've got these 4 carbon pads. They make contact on obviously these 4 in the funny shape that they are. So if it's not responsive, what you can do is take a pencil, which I don't currently have, and rub a pencil on there for some graphite. That'll work for a time period, or ideally get some conductive ink and paint them with that. So the pads, they're now looking like brand new. Just be careful if you're doing these pads. There's a thinner piece of rubber down there, which is on this edge, which allows the pad to move inwards like this, and that is quite thin and it can tear. All these are good, which is brilliant, but just be aware that that bit right down there in the centre can tear. So I use a old toothbrush and a little bit of very simple soap and water, and allow it to dry for a couple of hours in a decent ventilated area. But all this is looking really great. Move on. So I thought we'd have a closer look at the main board with all the switches on and the potentiometer on it for the data values to assist, hopefully. On the switches, let's see if we can go to it. Yeah, so terrible. So these, the caps are loose on top of a very simple switch. You can see all the dust on the board, that's normal, and you have to be very careful with those switches. They've got like, you see the clear plastic, that transmits the light from the LED, which is on the board there, just where it says D13. So where it says D13, so S7 is the switch, D13 is the D, which is the light emitting diode. Underneath on the caps, which I'm not going to take off because they are quite fragile, there's like a clip, has little pegs on it that can break off. So what I would do, if you are going to clean this off, and I will be doing that gently, is just taking a brush, this is a bit of a dodgy brush there, and just gently getting rid of the hair and other stuff. The reason I do this is to allow for when I use contact cleaner, spray. It doesn't become a manky mess on the board. Whilst you're here, I'm just using the iPad here at the moment, and I can zoom in and look at where all these chips are to see if there's any bits of solder that have dropped onto them. Like there we've got a hair. If you're having issues on the command station, sometimes these chips, they need a gentle press to reseat. I wouldn't recommend taking the chip out unless you know what you're doing, because you can damage it quite easily. This section, these connections here that have been soldered are not to the same standards as these ones. So these are factory, and this has been altered. So right there's a hole, and as you can see, that section has not been soldered on. In fact, that is actually loose. This one here is also loose. It's in a ball, so in other words, the solder, unlike with these where the solder has connected to the pad on the circuit board and the leg, here the solder's balled up on the connector but not gone onto the pad. The same here. And this one, it appears that the piece of the connector there on one side, although there's a big blob of solder there, is not connected to. And on these, that would be either wrapped round or soldered onto the board, are loose. There we go. So that's why it comes out. In fact, the whole set of 3 there are not properly connected. So hopefully that's what the problem is here. And that may be why it was skipping in terms of values. We shall see, but I'll also be opening up this top unit, take the nut off there, the washer, and these here, these prongs actually unfold, and you can take the top plate off. Next step, clean off the board. So just a couple of things about the cleaning of the potentiometers and switches. This is the stuff I use: contact cleaner and lubricant, Electrolube, and the thingy out there. And this in, just to show you on this, which is the headphone volume, main volume control, sorry. So I spray that area there into the shaft, will make it so that it's nice and smooth in operation going round. But really you want the cleaner to be going down either into the centre section there, where it rotates round, and if you can see there's a small hole there. Yep. So that hole there will allow the lubricant to penetrate and clean the track that the potentiometer runs on, and that's the bit that gets dirty. So that's ideally the thing you need to clean. And ideally wrap everything in tissue, because the last thing you want is all this stuff going all over the board. So I put tissue around the bottom to catch it, keep that fairly high, position the straw, if you can see the blue thing there. Spray and then operate the switch. Clean up the residue and just operate the switch, push it that way slightly, this way slightly, all the way around, and hopefully some of that fluid will make its way round and underneath to where the connectors are. Small amount there. See if there's any movement up and down and side to side. I'll operate it full range of movement, maybe 20 or 30 times, both ways. Alter it so it's vertical, so it's tilted over the other way. That's for the shaft lubrication. And then for cleaning the actual track for the connections, the circuit connections, we'll be taking it and putting it into this hole here. There we go. And then operate it. And you can actually feel it goes a lot smoother once you've started the operation. So moving it round full both ways, 20 or 30 times, and it should resolve any issues you have in terms of a dirty track. You can go further and take the potentiometer apart like I will be doing on the data wheel, but on this it shouldn't be a problem. And just another point, don't forget to do the cleanup. Don't leave the stuff hanging around on the circuit board. Clean it up so it's nice and dry. And then of course we repeat 16 times on this board, plus the switches and the others. Because that takes quite a while, we'll go and put the control knobs into soak in some simple soap and water, hot water. Just another tip I thought I'll show you. Dead simple. I use the other end of the brush to stick the knob on, and that holds it while you give it a clean with an old toothbrush in the soap and water. So here's another little detail to look for. All these are the same on the other side, look very similar, yeah, but if you look underneath you see that one has like 3 little flutes and this one here has like a flat, and that's because the volume control, which this one is not the same potentiometer as the other 16 here, which all have like a flat. So make sure you put the right one on the right thing. This is the volume pot one. See the shape that's just totally round, and the slots in here will fit onto the splines there. And with these, the flat area that you can see, hopefully, fits with the flat inside the knob there. Nice and solid now.